We'll start it up then. Welcome to the latest hatecast. Now, today you might notice that Ed's mic is a little bit different, and that's because he's driving. That's how we fit things in.
Yep.
So, today, for you guys, we do have a Q&A. But, while I go and go to my little cheat sheet here, oh my gosh.
Like in school?
Huh?
Like in school, a little cheat sheet?
Yeah, although people are not going to like me typing, so I'm going to have to do this over my phone.
Oh.
By the way, guys, just as a reminder, we are on SoundCloud. So if you're not aware, you can go there and listen to our podcast in an audio format. So, therefore, whatever platform you're listening to us on, go ahead and toss us a subscribe or follow or whatever. Alright?
Follow
okay.
me.
So, I don't have any sales for you guys this week because there's none in my inbox, so I can't cheat. So we're just going to jump right into it. So, I'm going to ask the ones that are kind of interesting first, and then we'll get into the more fitness-related ones, okay?
Sounds good to me.
Alright. Now, this one might piss people off, but what are our views on the current president?
That's a good question. You want to go first, or you want me to go first?
You know what? Why don't I take the lead on this one, and then I'll let you think about your answer a little bit.
Oh, I already got my answer. I can go if you want me to.
I'll go. I'll let you go first then.
Okay. So here's what I think. I think we're at a place in our country where too much power, I don't even want to say too much power, well, control maybe, I guess is a better word, has kind of been given to the government, and at the same time, I also feel like we're in a place where we're expecting too much from our government. So it's kind of like it's a twofold terrible thing, because in case you know anything about history, if you start wanting more and more from your government, and the government starts controlling you more and more to make it happen, that's what they call socialism. And here's why socialism does not work. So I just want to end this debate right now and forever. Now, if you're not logical, then you can argue against it and get upset. But if you're logical, and you actually have intelligence and I value your opinion, then you'll understand why socialism is a terrible idea. It's been proven over and over, again and again throughout history, and it doesn't work. And this is not on emotion. This is just on purely logical sense here, okay? The reason why it doesn't work is because half of the people realize that they don't have to do anything to get the results, that the other half are carrying it. And then the ones that are working the hardest realize that they're carrying the load for all the people that are the slackers, and so they quit doing work. And then you get screwed. And then comes a dictatorship because no one wants to do anything, and the government forces you to do it, and then you're China, basically. So, that is why socialism doesn't work. So, I'm not saying that we are heading towards that because we're far from that. Thank God we live in the best country in the world. Praise the Lord, hallelujah, whatever you believe in. Just be glad and grateful that you live here. You're the top 1% richest people in the world, even if you're a bum sitting on a corner. Just realize that for a second. So, anyways, yes, we do need to do a better job of taking care of our people that need help, but we also need a better job of kind of finding out who those true people are and getting rid of the bullshitters that can't take care of themselves and just blame everything else on their inability to stand up and just accept that, hey, for real, I need to take accountability for my actions. But that's me here and there. Now, the reason why I'm going over all this is because this is how I kind of explain my feel on Donald Trump, okay? So, my feel on Donald Trump is this. He's an outsider of the system, okay? He is not a politician, and I love it. Because the political scene needs to be broken up. It needs to have more of regular people in there, and it doesn't. It's not a true representation of the people. My problem is that Republicans and Democrats are both severely flawed. And the truth of the matter is that the more moderate, conservative Republicans are actually starting to be the ones that make the most sense out of the whole entire political landscape. Now, I'm either Republican or Democrat. I'm independent. Okay, I think for myself. I make my own choices. I live up to the consequences of my actions. If I fuck up, I tell you I fuck up, and I say I'm sorry, and if you either forgive me and we move on, or you don't forgive me and we move on. That's just how it is. So, and that's how I live, and that's, I don't care what you do. I don't care what you look like. I don't care your sexual orientation. I don't care about any of that. That's your choice to be whoever you want to because you live in America. That's the right of America, is freedom of speech and freedom of expression. And people forget that all the time. So don't get offended when someone does something or says something, because they have every right, just like you do, to say whatever they want to. Just don't get emotional. Just let it be and be thankful that they got to say what they have to say and you got to say what you got to say, because there's several places in the world where you'll be executed for saying stuff. So anyways, again, back on all of that, my feel is that it's great that there's an outsider inside of the Oval Office. However, I think that he does not handle himself in the best ways. That's just me. I don't know if he's a good person. I don't know if he's not a good person. It's not for me to judge, again, because remember, we live in America and with freedom of expression, and you're not supposed to judge others. Whether the Bible says that, religion says that, even spiritualists say that if you don't believe in it. And if you're atheist, you just know it's got, forgive people, golden rule, and, it is what it is. So for me, it's like, I don't care what he's done, what he did in his past. Everybody has a past. If he's doing a good job, if things are working well, and everything is going as planned, then yeah, he's the president, and I'm going to support the president of the United States no matter what, because he's the president of the fucking United States. He's a United States citizen. I'm sorry. You should support your president no matter what. Even if you didn't vote for him, you should support him. Because he's the fucking president, and he's doing the hardest damn fucking job in the world. And you don't want to do it. So you shouldn't have a right to fucking moan about it. I'm sorry. That's just my thing. And that goes back to being American and being grateful for being American, which people aren't anymore. They take it for granted, and that's a huge problem. It's a huge problem. But anyway, so, and for me to evaluate if he's doing a good job or not, it's really hard. I look at the economy, and the economy is doing the best it's ever done. Even with this huge hit we took, you know what I mean? We're still above higher numbers we've ever been before his presidency. You can't argue that. So, economy, he's doing good. And the most important thing in America is the economy and economic growth, because it supports everything else we do. And if we don't have it, then we're not the leader of the capitalist societies throughout the world. So we have to be. You come to America to get rich, because that's where all the money is, because we're capitalists. So in that, standard, he's doing extremely well. And when I look at his negotiating, I guess I have a better perspective of what he is doing. And I kind of see the bigger picture that we were giving away too many rights as Americans, because here's the fact of the matter. We want to think that other people are just friendly and nice like we are. That's not the case, man. I've got friends that are been in the military, special forces. They know shit. They know what's going on like a government level with other countries information we're not privileged to. If we didn't have all of the missiles and nukes and stuff like that we have right now, we would get taken out immediately. Just realize that. We would get taken out immediately. And I know you could say, well, it's America's fault for building all this up. We would get taken out immediately. It's just the way it is, with human nature, unfortunately. It's been that way forever. So, anyways, back to that point, people hate us. And we've been kind of bending over backwards to make them like us. No, fuck that shit, man. We're going to treat you right. We're going to treat you fairly. And you know what we're going to do? I'm going to scratch your back and try to help you out, but you got to scratch my back and try to help me out. No more of this you hate me because I'm so much richer than you and you're envious, and now you're just trying to be, team up against me and fuck me over. Look at the Iranian country all the time. They form OPEC to, basically fuck it. Now, that's a whole other story about OPEC. man, we don't even have time for that. Like, what really happened there? Like, just so you know, like, America has enough oil to be fully independent of any other country forever. But there's reasons why they don't let the general public know, and we'll save that for another day. You know,
Yeah.
I have again like insider information on that as well too, from
So,
people that were alive.
do you
So,
approve of the job that he's done so far?
so far,
Yeah.
yes. And the reason is because the economy is doing well. And number two, I can't, all this stuff that's coming out in the media, it's so hateful towards him and it's so biased, I don't know what to believe. And I can't
Yeah.
believe it because I'm a rational person. So, from looking on the outside, the economy's great. Countries are starting to work with us, like Mexico and stuff, like how he planned for it. I mean, dude, like, he's doing a good job.
You ready
sorry.
for my views? It might shock some people.
Yeah, let's hear it, man.
Okay, I'm instead of what Ed did, which was try and explain my reasoning beforehand, I'll explain it after the fact. So, he has not given me any reason to dislike him. And that sounds like a cop-out answer, but it's not, and I'll explain why. Okay? So, you know, and I'll expound a little bit on this. I mean, America in and of itself has no way of it running itself. And it's also in a bad spot, right? So I personally identify as an independent because that's the way the country's run.
Yep.
You have parts of the country that is abhorrently socialist, right? So you have the Medicare system, you have tax-funded hospitals, right? You have tax-funded public schools. You have all these things. You have police, the police department. You have all these things that are funded for the people, by the people, which falls in line with certain socialism ideologies. But you still have this economic boom that is, I think we have the right mixture of capitalism, socialism, and all the other isms that you can think of to make something work successfully for as long as we've tried to make it. Now, why I say America's in a weird spot is because even given the fact that we're like, okay, well, we can't have pure capitalism because pure capitalism, people would have to pay for firefighters to come rescue them. It'd be a service, right?
Yeah.
It would suck. You'd have to build your own roads, right?
Yep.
Because fuck you. There would be no workman's comp. There would be no disability. Sorry, everybody on Reddit. You wouldn't be able to collect checks.
No military.
So, yeah, no military, right? So, I mean, they would take all of our oil.
Yep.
So, you know, without those important parts of socialism, we would not be the country we are today. However, that does not mean I'm full-blown socialism.
Exactly.
I am an independent. Why I say America's in a weird spot, to kind of bring it all home, is nobody looks like if we had, for example, we had tornadoes here, we had historic floods where I'm at, right? Literally in the state that I'm located in, near our house actually. And you didn't see Germany jump up and go, oh, let's fucking help these guys, right?
Yep.
Because it's not expected of them. You didn't see the Queen of England. You didn't see anybody over in the UK basically jump up and say, you know what, these guys are in a rough spot right now. Let's send aid, right?
Yep.
Well, we have moved away from this, you know, leave it to Beaver sort of outlook on the country, right? I think everybody's a little bit tired of that, which, by the way, is in part why Donald Trump got elected.
Yep.
Because everybody hated that squeaky clean. And now I think some people are going to swing the other way again, because that's usually how these things work. Because they're like, oh, Donald Trump has Twitter and he says the F word. Oh, shit. And then, you know, somebody's going to freak out and some soccer mom's going to have a fucking aneurysm.
Hey, can I say one thing? One thing, Bryce. So tell me about this, though. They're making all this big fuss about that, but yet there are photographs of our former president smoking blunts.
No. Let's even go farther back than that, man. President Bush Jr.? Didn't he have a coke problem?
Oh yeah, you definitely did.
So anyway, um, so
Exactly, right?
like,
Oh my
but no bot, no human can physically do a job like a president well, right? That's why you
no.
have checks and balances. You have Congress. You have, the Electoral College. Although I know some people are a little upset. Um, you have these things that we've tried to put into place. They're nowhere near perfect, but I think we're
Possible.
in a pretty good spot.
Yep.
I do think there's room for improvement, though, which is, same thing with the whole right to left thing. I mean, for a while there, our whole country was in this right conservative spot, and then all these progressives came in, and then everything's, free flowing and the hippie movement, and then you came back into the right because everybody's like, we're on drugs, and then you had everybody go back to the left because they're like, maybe they're not so bad, and then, it's so basically our country's bipolar, right?
Yep.
Our country has borderline personality disorder. And that's because, to be completely honest, guys, if you look at the big picture, nobody knows what the fuck they're doing until they
Nope.
hit something that actually works.
Yep.
Right? Just like
Yep.
in our, I know it's to a much smaller scale, but our training, right? Mine and your both writing. I mean, some of those articles that I sent you, right? Some of the articles that we're currently writing for another place, they have been cringy. And then you find this little rhythm, and then you get better, and you slowly start to improve. Well, that's on a small scale, but exactly what this country's doing. I don't think any one man could do that, or any one woman, for that matter, could do that job well. But I think that all things considered, he has not given me reason to extremely dislike him, which is my stance on the man. Because I honestly don't fucking know him, right?
Yeah.
I know he
Either,
was like,
but
he was like, on a sketch comedy show, he's buying someone's kid. I know he said something vastly inappropriate to a woman about her no-no place,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Or about
Yep.
someone's no-no place.
Yep.
I know that
Yep.
his wife, you can find naked pictures of her, and that's fine, by the way. It's fine, right?
Oh, exactly.
But I don't really, like, I guess I just don't, like, he hasn't given me enough reason to really care,
Yeah.
Except I think
Yeah.
that at the end of the day, someone should, like, hey, Donnie, and I'm guessing they call him Donnie, by the way, for some, whatever fucking reason, right?
Why not? Of course, I would.
Hey, Donnie, you should probably just today. Can we put the phone down? Can we just rewind? I think that's my major complaint is sometimes it can make. Well, I mean, it's just like you selling quality goods and then standing on the street corner, yelling at somebody at the top of your lungs, "Come buy my stuff!"
Yeah.
It seems unprofessional. No, you have an
Yeah.
office environment. You have certain things, But then again, that could be that wild swing that I was talking about, because then you have a bunch of these
Yeah.
people tired of that way of things are going. So I honestly don't hate him.
No. I don't. The funny thing is, like, all the bad things that he was supposed to do that was made up by the Democratic Party. You know what I mean? And so,
Also, let's get this fucking straight. Let's get this fucking straight before we move on, because I need to get it out of my system. Those
Yeah.
people that were, fucking their significant others, they were going to work, they were having a beer at the end of the day, they were fucking smoking cigars, they were doing all the things that everybody's shooting guns up in the air, everything that Americans are seen as doing, right?
Yep.
Like, and then, like, what everybody else does, which is, like, watch Netflix, like, binge Netflix shows, right?
And chill. Netflix and chill.
Watch Infinity War, maybe.
Oh yes, and that's
Hold
like
on.
3 times.
No.
Okay.
Yeah. So, like, the people that were doing that are somewhat unaffected by him getting elected.
Yeah.
In fact, that one lady who's famous for literally crumbling at her knees and going, "No!"
Yeah.
She is probably off somewhere, actually probably in a better spot, because she kind of got famous there. Like,
Exactly. Yep.
also, no one cares.
Nope.
I wish I could emphasize, if you could see the sarcasm on my face, no one cares.
No one. You know what's funny
So,
is, really, no one cares. What I do is I'll hear about something that protesters or someone they do, and I'll be like, man, that's dumb, and then I just won't think about it anymore.
man, it's just like someone who's morbidly obese and their insulin resistance. Okay, it's like after a while, it's like, you get resistant to it. You get resistant to all the bullshit.
Dude.
And
Dude, okay,
you hear
I got
one
a movie.
thing.
You gotta, dude. Have you ever seen PCU with Jeremy Piven, 1993? Oh, with John Favreau, the director of Iron Man 1 and Iron Man 2, the guy that actually plays the character in the new upcoming Spider-Man film, Happy. Him, he's in PCU and he plays a stoner. A college drunk, fat stoner. It's amazing. With Jeremy Piven and David Spade as a young, college kid. Oh my god! So in one scene at the end, it's amazing because I know you're not going to watch it. He goes, they get out and they're like, the only way we can get rid of the Dean, because it's the classic, it's the whole basic thing of Animal House over again. But it's for 1993, and so there's a lot of crazy stuff. It's when the politicalness really started to take off. It's 93, and we're just still in that. So it kind of highlights a lot of the stuff that was going on. You have a group of stoners, and a group of frat boys. You have a group of feminists. You have a group of nerds, computer geeks. It's hilarious. So it's called PCU. Politically Correct University.
I get it. Okay.
So anyways, they get in there, and at the end, he gets up and he's like, everybody has, they always protest all the time, right? And he's like, you know what? We're tired of this, people. So you know what I say to you today? We're not going to protest. We're not going to protest. And then one of the guys, hops up in the stands, we're not going to protest. He's like, we're not going to protest. And then all of a sudden everybody starts going, we're not going to protest. And the whole entire student body, we're not going to protest.
That is
we're not going to protest.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I'm outraged. You're outraged too? Let's be outraged.
And then, dude, they kick her off campus. They get the house back. It's just great, man. It's amazing. You need to watch that movie. There's parts of it that are just...
Now I will, just for that analogy. But I will say...
Oh, and then they got one part. Gutter is a tool. We're not going to protest. And Gutter is John Favreau's character, or whatever. What's his last name?
I have no clue.
The guy that directed Iron Man.
I have no clue.
The guy that was in Friends for that one season.
I watched
Swingers.
The movie.
The Swingers.
I don't care.
The guy that plays Happy in Iron Man and Endgame and he wasn't in Infinity War, and Spider-Man and all that. Iron Man's best friend, Happy.
Well, I'm sure somebody will Google it and post it in the comments.
Oh my gosh! How do you not know who this guy is?
I don't pay attention.
He's in Swingers with Vince Vaughn, bro.
You've said that. Still not paying attention.
You haven't seen Swingers, have you?
No. I am so closeted on everything.
Boondock Saints.
But anyway,
we're gonna do a podcast. Okay, we're gonna do a podcast of the awesome movies that Bryce has never seen, and we're just gonna. I'm gonna talk about them all because there'll be plenty.
It's just gonna be like movie title. Nope. Okay, another movie title. Nope.
No.
How can you not have seen insert movie title?
Well, I'm gonna give you a synopsis because you're not gonna watch it.
Okay.
Yeah. So they'll catch you up to pop culture.
Yeah. But I don't think...
Starting with Big Trouble in Little China.
I know. My wife is now threatening me on that one, too.
Good.
But I don't think that there's one last thing that I want to say, and then we'll move on to the next topic, which also has to do with elections, by the way.
Yes.
Views on current president. I think that something you also have to understand when it comes to the current president and the past president and the future president, right, is no matter who they are, they will be dealing with problems from a president, maybe 2, maybe 3 ago, and then that cycle will continue. And you know, who knows, right? The economic boom could have been because Obama.
Yep.
And that's my punchline for the episode. So, are you likely cash for clunkers? Are you likely to vote green next election?
Vote. Okay. Me again, I guess. So, number one, I'm all about saving the environment and everything. You know, I want to save the world because we need to. And I think you know what? I really think it's going to take more than just a political person. And I get where people are coming from. We're going to need influencers like Robert Downey Jr., for example, to lead the way for all of us. And here's what people don't understand. We're actually making progress in America no matter what they say. But we're not the major problem right now.
You know when I saw that? For just as an example, I'll go ahead and give an example. You know when I saw the amount of progress that we're making?
When did you see it?
My daughter was in middle school, right? There was somebody at her school that was made fun of for being gay. The kid who made fun of the person got the shit kicked out of him.
Good.
Boom! Right? Like, that's generally an improvement because, trust me, if you grew up when I did, right, people were still using the F word to describe, you know, people who were, you know, gay or homosexual, whatever, and they were still making fun of people for that, right? And, I mean, there were even little bouts of racism that were still hanging around when I was growing up. So, I mean, to see one extreme to the other means there is a change in the positive direction, but
how does that relate? How does that relate to green? I'm confused.
Well, you were talking about change, right?
Yeah, well, I'm talking about green. I'm talking about environmental change, like what we're doing to the atmosphere. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh my God, we're talking about green. Okay, so let's start over. So, I think that we have put into place several practices to lower America's carbon footprint. The problem is there are other countries that are contributing to it much faster than we are. And there's also some major problems with ways that they want to try to cut it. You know, and one of those is they're attacking, you know, farmers.
No, vote green. Vote green.
I know, like voting green. And I'm telling you that I don't think it's really, it's not as much of a political a job. It shouldn't be. It's important, but it's not. It shouldn't be on the top list. And the reason is because I feel like politicians don't have enough power.
No, the Green Party.
Oh, the Green Party about what? The environment or what? What's the Green Party about it?
There was Democrats, Republicans, and the Green Party.
Oh, Green Party.
Yeah. Are you likely to vote green next election?
I'm going to vote for the candidate that makes the most sense on the issues, and I think can do the best job from the evidence that I have put forth, no matter what party they are affiliated with. That's how I vote. Well, that's how I always vote. I'm independent, so I make the best possible choice. Now, sometimes if I feel like there's a candidate in a lower, you know, like one of the smaller, like say a liberal, or not liberal, libertarian or whatever party, and I kind of look and I, just from what I've heard and based on, they don't seem to have a chance at all, then what I do is I eliminate them from the equation and I concentrate on the remaining, it's usually 2, Republican Democrat candidates,
right,
which I think would do the better job. Even if I thought the other guy would do it, but logically, I mean, it's just not going to happen. And see, that's the problem. Like, as much as I wanted to vote for Gary Johnson, last election, I didn't think he would do as good of a job as either of the other two candidates. I didn't. And at the same time, I knew that even if I did vote for him, it wouldn't be enough. Like there's just not enough of the population that would ever consider him, and
Yeah.
that's the problem. And that's why he should have been allowed on the. Now I do 100% think that he should have been allowed at the presidential debate, because even regardless, he doesn't even win or whatever, he still can bring up some valid points, and it makes it. And I think that right there, I think, is a problem when you have a third party candidate running for the president of the United States and he's disqualified from being on stage and even being on all of the ballots because of money, basically popularity. That's a problem. That's not right at all. Like,
Yeah.
and I'm not saying he would have won, but what I am saying is that I would have heard he would have been able to um, make himself known to the public, and then we could have had a fair election. And then if that's the case, then you have three candidates, like you did back in the day of Abraham Lincoln when they had four, and you're like, okay, well, I'll vote for the best out of the four.
Best man win. Yeah. Um, my opinion on the Green Party, when it comes to the political party, is So I'll use an example, okay, of
Yep.
why. Let me start over here. Okay, Green Party. Am I likely to vote Green? Probably not. Do you know why?
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a throwaway vote, and I said that last year,
Yep. Yep.
or the last election. And the reason I said that has sound logic behind it, because let me use an analogy here. So there is a show called Deadliest Catch, right? Are you familiar with it?
Yep. I love Deadliest Catch. The one captain died though, which is kind of sad.
Ah, Phil. But spoiler alert. But if you haven't seen those episodes, what the fuck? It's been long enough.
Yeah.
So in Deadliest Catch, they kind of go over in some of the seasons that the crab cages that they use to actually catch the crab that they climb up into really haven't been innovated in a long time, right? It's because it usually gets the job done. If they try to re-engineer something, it's going to be a headache, and it's kind of it's just what these grumpy old fishermen decide to do, and it's like, it's fine, right? It's fine. Like, there's no reason to change it. Why the fuck you want to change things? We just go out and fishing. Like, the moments that we're not fishing is the moment we're not making money. So just don't bring any new fucking gadgets in, okay?
Yeah.
Just let us have our boat and our fucking way of fishing. Well, sometimes one of the things that's a little bit wonky about the U.S. political system is you have things like that. Now, that plays out in other countries too, but you have things that play exactly like those fish pots. Because Grandma and Grandpa are still registered voters. They don't like it when things change. That's why the layout is probably going to be the same for the entirety of my life, of how the debates are set up.
Yep.
They're going to try and keep somewhat the same verbiage or language. They're going to try and keep some of the... Because those are the people that are buying TV packages to watch the debates. Those are the people that are actually weighing the pros and cons, because nowadays young people will vote by popularity, right?
Yep.
And I think because of that reason, and mind you, I know you kids, people my age, by the way, I'm only 28, so people my age and stuff like that are still in the majority. There's more of us than there are of these old people, but until you have more of the older generation go away, you're not really going to see a place for the Green Party.
Nope.
That's not because it's right? Because this is not a question of what's right and wrong. This is a question of what is, right?
Yeah.
Just like in those fishing boats, there's no need for them to reinvent the cage for the crab. Why are you gonna reinvent two-party system that's worked well for so long, right? Which, by the way, United States, relatively fucking short lifespan, by the way, but everybody seems to forget that. But But my opinion is that, so I will probably not, unless there's some spectacular epiphany or premonition, or the stars align, or the Republican Party decides, or the Republican or Democratic Party decide to split. That has happened in other countries, by the way. Unless something like that extreme were to happen, I really, unfortunately, in my opinion, right, this is not the opinion of Chaos Opinion LLC. This is Bryce's opinion. It will be another throwaway vote for the next 2, 3, 4 elections, and that's my unfortunate viewpoint of it. Now, what's going to be interesting is you'll see some green people. They're going to be like, well, it fucking didn't work. Let me try and hop on over to this line. Woohoo!
Yep.
All right, now you're just going to jump on over. I don't know what the fuck that sound was. They're just going to jump on over. And they're going to make their plea there. They're going to be like, now look, I've always been conservative. I just didn't want to come out and say it. Gotcha, green. And then maybe that'll work, maybe it won't. But I don't know. It will be interesting. And the reason I wanted to ask these 2 questions up front is because those were the 2 political ones that people keep asking us over and over again.
Wow, that's amazing. That is really interesting that people want to know about political opinions.
Oh, wait, one more.
All right, let's do it.
What one political issue do you currently follow, and how would you change it?
Wow, dude, I pay attention to everything, so it's kind of like I need to be more specific as far as what political issue. I mean, there's so many. I mean, I follow them all. I don't even know. But the thing is, I don't like stress over them, and I don't like,
I
really,
have one issue that
what's your issue? Tell me.
That I follow along with. The legalization of recreational marijuana.
Marijuana. Yeah, I agree with that one too. So that was.
You know why?
Probably because a similar reason to mine is what I'm thinking.
Because first and foremost, I want to see how it plays out, right?
Oh, economic growth for me, bro.
Well, economic growth, yes, but
it's
also...
Hey, dude, we could trade that for, to China for some of that. And then they'd love us.
Poppies.
No, but then they'd love us, man, because there wouldn't be a hallucination to be like, oh, hey, America, what's up, guys? How you doing? And we'd just be like, hey, you want some more?
One of the reasons that I've started following so closely on it is because it's actually started an interesting issue in Mexico. There's a power vacuum when it comes to now that El Chapo's gone, there's a power vacuum. Tijuana is kind of a dangerous spot now. And
is it?
They've traded. They've traded what they're producing for, instead of marijuana. Right, so those marijuana fields are now turning into poppy fields, and they want to industrialize or modernize the manufacture of methamphetamine, because that's the product that seems to be something that they can offer. I'm talking cartel-wise. I'm not talking about Mexico, or I'm not talking about Mexico, air quotes. I'm talking about the cartel. So that's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
The other interesting thing is it's brought so much economic growth. It really has. And honestly, I thought that you would see little bits on a map of crime go down and then some crime go up. Somebody really wants to go to the dispensary and it's a little bit more expensive than going and getting it from your plug, as the kids say nowadays. It's a little bit more expensive there. So what I thought would happen is petty crime would go up, which makes sense from a law perspective. It makes sense, right? Petty crime would go up so they can go to the dispensary and get themselves more. But no. Petty crime has gone a tad bit down. In areas where it's legalized, aren't exactly the best. They aren't the best materialization of the data, because you have LA and you have Denver, which are already they have high crime rates to begin with, sort of.
They're huge cities.
Yeah, but their crime per capita is a little bit weird because, like, when you put too many fucking pit bulls in a cage, fucking some shit's gonna happen. It's like, that's population, More dense population areas have more crime. It's just the way it is. And lower populations have more crime statistics-wise, but they don't actually have more incident per capita, right?
Yeah.
So, or per block. But what's been interesting is they've funded new hospitals, new research, new schools, new roads. So I'm for. I'm absolutely for it. I tell people with a little bit of caution, because, it was so difficult to study these things before because you had to standardize a strain, you had to grow your own, or you had to acquire it from the FDA or other people. So you had to do it that way to study it before, right? And since the time of studying marijuana and modern studies of marijuana, there's like a 30-year gap between really big studies. But as far as the data suggests right now, bring it. Fucking bring it on.
Yeah.
So, but what about you? What do you follow that political issue at all?
I mean, yeah, of course. I think I agree 100% with you, and that probably would be, I guess, the only really political issue that I care about. And I won't say care about, because I care about them all, but that I would look more into, you know what I mean? Because it's just, again, it's just so hard to get, like, real answers, and it's really hard for stuff to get done because the country is so separate right now. But
well, you also had to. One of my issues with all the studies, and like I was saying, is you had to get a license to have the stuff on you to study it before.
Yeah.
And then you had to standardize. It was like $300,000 to $500,000 to get started. It's fucking ridiculous in the '70s. Ridiculous.
So I definitely think that it's good, and I know, like, for example, in North Carolina, we pretty much supplied half the world with tobacco because we had all these farmers, and we've been hit, big time because of that. And I feel like all you would have to do would legalize it here, and then these farmers could start growing. Now, granted, it's a different system, but there's a ton of land out here, and there's places to do it, and I know everything's done indoors and all that, and, it's just the way it is, but it could be, got a lot of people that are, NC State, for example, is a highly touted university for engineers and in agriculture and stuff like that. Right. So we have research facilities. I mean, we could do some amazing stuff with it that other places aren't. Just because we have government
just understand
funded,
with that too, right? And I'm sorry for interrupting here, but I think this is important to know when people realize exactly what it means as a researcher to actually put your hands into a marijuana study. Your name gets tainted sometimes for being in other journals. So that's why a lot of these new guys will come in and say, you know what, this is what I want my specialty to be, because this is probably as close to a modern day gold rush as one can predict. But at the same time, they're like, but if I want to do any Parkinson's research, or not Parkinson's, because that actually ties in. If I want to do any like HIV research, might want to step back, And that's kind of where the waters when it comes to marijuana study get dicey, right? Because you don't want to burn your name, but you still want to bring people the benefits. Yeah. You want to bring people the science, but sometimes that gets a little murky. So, sorry, but go ahead.
No, I agree 100% with you, and I think that it would help North Carolina economically a ton to help those farmers and stuff, and get things rolling. And I'm talking like getting it federally, not state, but like federally, so it's no longer. And then when you do that, then the government can start helping out these farmers, get them on track.
Yeah, yeah.
Because right
They
now, I
could
think the
turn
government,
into
yeah,
pot crops. That'd be
yeah,
good.
and I think that we can supply not just America but the world, dude. Do everything the best, so why not?
That's going
We
to be an
already
issue
are.
too. That's going to be an
Well,
issue.
dude,
Supply is going to be an issue. So it
see,
already is in Canada.
what they have too much.
Too little.
What? Wow,
Marijuana.
are you,
Marijuana. No.
dude,
No.
dude? If they legalize it, man, and federally, North Carolina can supply the world, bro. That's what we do.
It'd be kind of cool, wouldn't it?
Well, I mean, it's
Um,
like one of those things. Like, leave the research out to the people that are doing it, the firms, and the successful, and then you just give us the clones, and we'll grow that shit.
I
We'll be
will
done
say
with it.
this though: if you do have bipolar disorder, the research is there to suggest that you probably shouldn't do it. Also, there is that like heavy smoker that hyper. I'll link it down, but it's this hypersensitivity to marijuana. That is alleviated by discontinued use, right?
Huh.
It's a syndrome.
Yeah.
So like, take your breaks, right? If you're an everyday
Yeah.
toker, if you use anything every day and it has inebriating effects, there's probably some reason for concern there, right? But then again, people can do whatever the fuck they want to do. That's my outlook on it anyway.
Agree.
One last thing I will say before we change subjects here, because I'm getting like excited about this and like I need to get off of it. It's gonna be a pop
Yeah.
podcast, but so the decriminalization of mushrooms, just so people are aware, because they're decriminalized does not mean they are legal. It just means in the list of priorities, you're moved down several pegs. That does not mean that it is legal. So, if you're in Denver, or if you're in wherever they decriminalized them, just realize growing them is still a federal crime. Possessing them is still a federal crime. Although in the state in which you reside, it is so low on the totem pole, probably not going to be priority. Right? Because that's some misinformation that's being spread right now. It's
Well,
not
yeah.
legalized. It's
No, it's not.
decriminalized.
It's decriminalized.
So
And also, a big thing about it also is that's the reason why most banks won't touch it because it's not.
exactly,
Yeah, it's still
exactly.
illegal. Yeah.
And that's the fucked up thing too. And then we'll switch subjects. That's the fucked up thing too. You can open up a dispensary, but you cannot have a mortgage for your business of being
Nope.
a multi-million-dollar dispensary because banks say, I'm not going to touch that stuff with a 10-foot fucking pole. I wouldn't
Yep.
touch that with your dick. We're
Yep.
not getting involved. And that's a shame, but that's for another podcast maybe. We
I
might
like
do
it. I like it.
CBD and pot in one podcast if everybody would be open to that. Let us know in the comment section. So, I can remove that. Now, this is where we get into we will start knocking our way down to the other questions, and I'm not going to keep you for too much longer.
Sounds good.
Actually, we haven't actually burnt that much time. Cool. Okay. Are you familiar with how this podcast started?
Ooh, I don't think so. Not the
Okay.
actual. I mean, I know who was involved, but
Yeah.
I don't really know. No, tell me the story.
What was the idea behind this podcast? Is a question that I got. Okay.
Oh, I have no idea.
So this one you might find a little bit interesting. So you had me seeing. No, Wayne had been talking about doing a podcast with Jamie because Jamie was on a podcast before, right? On a
Gotcha.
podcast before, it was, it got popular and everything like that. And so Wayne kept bugging me about getting a podcast going, right? He's like, he kept mentioning it, right? I looked into it. I saw that other people were doing this. I saw that it wasn't actually that complicated, although it turned out to be a little bit more complex than what I had imagined. So I went ahead and did our first episode with Greg Tambone, which no longer works with us, from Bone Tactical, and his associate, Charles. That didn't go too well because Jamie wasn't on the episode. Okay, fine. Fine. I get it. Also, it was pretty bad. Which, you can listen to those up on the YouTube channel, by the way. Not taking them down. They're bad, but they're gold. Actually, we will pause it right here. We will be right back. Somebody's at the door. Alright, and we're back. Sorry about that. It was my fault. Anyway, so, like I said, so we actually booted it back up like a year or two after that, right? And then I actually got Jamie on, right? Now, if you know Jamie, you know that questions like, how do I increase my bench press? How do I take creatine? All that shit drives him up the fucking wall, right? Yeah. He's kind of like one of those guys that, like a physician, right? You'll go in the doctor's office and you'll be like, I think I have a cold, or I think I have cancer. No, that's a pimple, you moron. Get the fuck out of here, right? Like, that's what they want to say, right? And those guys go into research, right? Yep. So Jamie's into research. That's why he hasn't made so many of these, which, by the way, I'm going to have him back on, spoiler alert, but that's why he doesn't. He's like, you're doing a good job, now leave me the fuck alone. That's why he's not part of these. And Wayne, on the other hand, he was like, yeah, podcasts are really good, blah, 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 blah. And he says, yeah, just do whatever you want. Just make sure it's about fitness and all that stuff. We ended up having NoFap as the first episode. So, like, the NoFap movement, which had nothing to do with fitness, but we kind of tied it back in, because if you don't use it, you lose it. Yep. Anyway, and Wayne, by the way, does not... He has other stuff that he likes to do. Like, for instance, get everybody their packages on time. Yep. Work for Chaos and Pain doing other things. So I'm the podcast guy. So that's how this started, and it kind of like, I got that immediate dopamine rush by interacting with you guys, and I've always wanted to have be a part of the entertainment aspect of Chaos and Pain, and that brings us here. That's kind of how this came about. So, I think I've answered that one. Yeah. But yeah, it's just like, I didn't think people realized that about Jamie's personality, but he just despises answering simple questions. Just despises it. It blows fucking brains out. But yeah, that's pretty much where it goes.
And that's okay.
Yeah, that's another story. So what? Now this one might get us into a little hot water, but we're gonna tackle it anyway. Okay? Because this is how this works. Before we go into this topic, we are not doctors. Disregard anything we say. We are stupid. We are idiots. Nope. We have no idea what the fuck we're talking about. Okay? If you're going to listen to us, then you just don't do it, because you probably shouldn't. We're just stupid. Okay.
We're stupid.
What's your thoughts on T3 or thyroid hormone in sports?
Okay, so being like free choice, I'd be like, yeah, you can do it if you want to. But honestly, just because of what I've experienced with all these years in the bodybuilding community, allegedly experienced in the bodybuilding community and stuff, I'm losing a lot of friends at an early age, man, and there's a lot of stuff going on, and there's just new research popping up all the time. And the reason why it's new is because we finally have some studies on it over the last 20 years or so, 30 years. But that, doing that and supplementing with T3 can actually do some damage.
What would you say would be like the other things involved in that?
As far as doing the damage or causing the damage?
Causing the damage, doing the damage, and continuing
wow.
the damage.
Okay, man. So this might be the last question of the day, because to tie it all in, I have to okay, so here's how it all works. The thyroid part is very, that's detrimental. You mess with your thyroid, you're messing with the thermostat of your body. It controls all the other metabolic processes, and you're screwed. You're really screwed. And when you start throwing in too much T3, not only do you, desensitize it, just like you shut down the production of testosterone, you're going to shut down production of your thyroid, or you're going to interleap it or mess it up or do whatever, usually because it's pretty quick acting, so it's not like, anabolic, but you're still going to cause some kind of disruptive rustance in the feedback loops. And when you're going to have in some people, it's going to cause some severe thyroid issues. And I think that there's just too much of a chance that you shouldn't take it. And I don't think that as far as sports, like athletic sports is what I think of. I don't think that you should ever do that, because I think it would mess up your performance. But if we're talking about sport as bodybuilding or a fitness world, then it's definitely a ways to get leaner, and that's kind of their choice, but they need to make sure that they understand the consequences. And honestly, I think you can, you can get leaner without relying on T3 than what people are telling you. And of course, everybody's different too, though, and I never. Yeah, right.
Sorry.
So
go ahead.
And if you want to cause other issues, not talking about thyroid, but talking about anabolic steroids or any kind of.
Well, we can cover that in another episode, because people are wanting. We can do that with a very loose. If you guys have any of those questions that you want to ask, submit them in our Facebook group, and we will go through them and pick out the ones that we deem that are okay for YouTube. We have to be very careful with that stuff, right? But I'll give my views on it real quick. I think we'll get off of this and go into the next one.
Agreed.
So, my thoughts on T3 or thyroid hormone in sports. T3 in the form that it's used in sports is a medicine, right?
Yeah.
I know somebody in real life, an actual physical in front of me life, that has to take it for an autoimmune disorder they have, right? Hashimoto's. Some days it will make you feel like shit.
Yep.
Some days it will make you feel amazing.
Yep.
The problem is, if you're taking it in the way that I think most people are taking it, there's no verification that you're getting the actual dosages, right?
Yep. Yep.
Also, you don't fucking check your levels to begin with.
Nope, so you don't know.
A lot of it is to cover up some lazy form of dieting to get you abs that you've never had.
100%.
Or not being able to compensate on your own dietary fucking choices. I mean, for example, somebody who crashes their calories down. I'm talking about 1,000, 2,000, or I'm sorry, 1,500 or something like that calorie deficit right off the bat. Starts doing 2 hours of fucking cardio. Restricts the fuck out of their carbohydrates. All that at the same time. And then wonders why they only lost 10 pounds total through their 8 weeks. It's because you did it way too fucking fast. You have no more cards to play. Your body wants homeostasis. And you know what the fucked up thing about that is? You can take all the super special thyroid supplement you fucking want, and that's not going to prevent some of those things from occurring. You're going to have a rising cortisol. You're going to look flat as fuck. You're not going to have all the things that you want to have as somebody who, by the way, nobody other than fucking bodybuilders or fitness competitors really use the shit anymore. Yeah, okay? Exactly. And that's for a fucking reason, right? Yeah. Because you're feeling like shit on all this other shit, so much so that you don't want to take care of the fucking minute details. That's all it fucking is. Because I know people who I have talked with, who I have seen pictures of, who did not use it to get contest lean. Fix your fucking diet, then think about shit like that. And if you don't have the basics down, I don't want to hear fucking thyroid anything come out of your damn mouth.
Hey, Bryce.
Yeah, what's up?
You know what works a lot better?
Diet, food?
Dude, no, I got one even DMP.
No.
Don't do that unless you want to die.
We're done.
You will die. You
We're
will
done.
die. You will die if you do that. It's dynamite.
Yeah. All right, we'll move on to another one because that one. Ugh. So. All right, this one I thought would be interesting to ask you. So, what are your views on carbohydrates?
Sure, I think everybody has different needs, and I think that you can manipulate those needs depending upon how much muscle you have for increased metabolism, how much activity, physical activity, and how much you exercise, and how much you require the energy for growth. At the same time, I personally think that, as far as out of all the three macros, if you told me that I could only have two of them, it would be protein and fat. Carbs are the source of energy. That's pretty much all they are. Like, they're glucose. That's it. Whereas protein and fat make up what your body's actually made of. So what you kind of got to look at it is that you're using the energy from the carbohydrates, in a perfect world this is, to efficiently assimilate the protein and the fat that you're eating and turn it into whatever tissue it is, whatever organ it is, muscle, whatever, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So my view on carbs is that I think it's, again, depending on how lean you are too, because there's so many factors, what your blood sugar is, your resting blood sugar, all that stuff,
Yeah.
I think for me, I do minimal carbs, and I try to do it earlier in the day so I can use it for, energy, hypothetically, throughout the day. And then mostly protein and fat for my last meal, I have used carbs, and I had higher requirements for carbs when I was bodybuilding. And I will tell you that you definitely need carbs when you're bodybuilding and you're a big dude, no matter what anybody says, because, I did a high protein, moderate carb, kind of like moderate fat diet, and it got me fat. Like, I got fatter on it, and then when I reduced my protein, guess what? I started losing weight. So even get fat taking too much protein. So it's kind of like you got to find that balance that works for your body, that you get just enough carbohydrates to have a pump in the gym, have enough energy to work out, and have enough energy to help, build more muscle from your protein. And yes, for dieting, carb cycling has always worked the best for me. Always.
Yeah.
And I try to time it so that my high days are the days that I would squat or deadlift or whatever,
Yeah. That actually leads us into another question, but my views on carbohydrates. So I think that for somebody wanting to go to the gym to look fit, you need to earn your carbs. So on the days that you're lifting, it's okay to have extra carbohydrates. On the days that you're not, that really depends on what you do for a living, unfortunately, or what you do in your non-exercise time, right? Because if you're sitting at a desk all day, if you eat anything above 1 gram per pound of body weight for your carbohydrates, you're not really earning those on those days that you're just sitting behind a desk, And depending on what your body weight is, and depending on how lean you are, is how well you can handle carbs. I will say this, if you're trying to be the biggest and most jacked person ever, carbohydrates are useful when it comes to muscle, specifically. There is some good research that living a low carbohydrate, now mind you, Low carbohydrate, not ketosis, because they're two different things. A low carbohydrate diet for a long period of time can do some wonky things to enzymatic responses and even potentially thyroid, right? Because there are some processes in which carbohydrates and blood sugar actually interact with the T4 to T3 conversion, right? So, low carbohydrate diets are kind of trash. Ketosis, on the other hand, is vastly different. You can go into ketosis, use dietary fat and body fat for energy, right? Your energy production. And you can also do some other trickery that happens behind the scenes to make up for your lost glycogen within a ketosis diet. Actually in ketosis. But low carbohydrate diets, I would love to see someone with an argument for their validity when it comes to an active individual. For someone trying to maintain a healthy body weight, I'm guessing there should be, but you should have some days where you incorporate some more carbohydrates. Yes. And the only reason that I'm also saying this too, when it comes to specifically low carbohydrates versus ketosis, is because on a low carbohydrate diet, you will need to either make sure that all your carbohydrates are fucking fiber, or add some stuff like oats, which is a high carbohydrate food, in there to every once in a while to get some extra fiber, because it does all the good things. Unless you're in ketosis, which, by the way, you can use amino acids. You can break down amino acids through the decomposition, what is it called? Putrefaction enzyme, right? And that will actually turn amino acids into fiber. Although what amino acids, I'm not sure, because if they're stored amino acids, that would be one thing. Although I need to honestly research that now. But regardless, that my views on carbohydrates is yes, you probably, for the average individual who's not in ketosis, need some sort of carbohydrates during the week. What times during the week? Ed likes them on the squat day. I actually prefer them on my rest days, especially if I'm dieting, because if I don't have high carbs on my rest days, my weight loss stalls, right?
That, it makes sense, and I tell you because I kind of agree with that. I don't really do the high carb, low carb thing, but if I have a good solid workout, and I can especially tell it now, at this age, I guess, and I'm not doing the bodybuilding stuff. I'll be more tired, and my hunger will be like significantly increased the day after. And I know it's from replenishing glycogen and recovery and all that stuff. So I'm kind of on the agreeing with you now that if I could go back and do it again, I think that I would have saved my higher carb days, for my rest days. However, again, let's clarify that when I was doing that successful with it, we're talking about, 700 grams of carbohydrates and cutting down to like 300.
Okay, that's more than I have.
you know what I mean? So, but
where were your fats at?
In the high carb days, I would pretty much try to eliminate fats.
Oh no!
Pretty much completely.
Okay.
Well, not completely, but I would lower it down.
Right.
But,
that's kind of where I'm at right now.
Yeah. So then, but the protein would always stay, the same. Like usually around. So I wouldn't go more than 300 grams.
Yeah. Well, especially for bigger individuals too, sometimes that might change a little bit. I know that whenever I pack on size here in a bit, that's going to be, I'm probably going to be jumping above 700 carbs, depending on how much size I gain. But anyway, that kind of leads us into our next question. How do you carb up? Water manipulation. Now, we covered part of that.
We already just covered the whole thing, pretty much.
So, for the sake of argument, let's just say this person's wanting to get some sort of photo shoot or show, or even just look the leanest they've ever looked, which, you can manipulate that a lot by depleting yourself of glycogen, depleting yourself of salt, and that and then puffing back up like the fucking Michelin Man, right? You can do all that stuff, all that cool trickery with diet. It takes about 4 days of depletion, 3 to 4 days, and then 2 to 4 days of basically reintroducing those carbs. Reintroducing those carbs for you to really see an effect. But by the end of the first day, you should start noticing some water, what will look like water retention, and over the next day or two, that will kind of go into the right places, is what I would say. And you should be pounding salt and water throughout your carb up, and then going back into depletion, and then repeating that cycle. This is different from show prep, by the way. But this is kind of like, I'm going to be at the beach this weekend. Let me go ahead and pound some carbohydrates and salt and water and see if I can't puff myself up.
And try to also do some like pumping exercises and like get a workout in there when you're carbing up, because it will just help drive more glycogen. Try to make it more like do whole body, but I make it more kind of like moderate German body style training.
What I've found to be more effective for that, when it comes to like the pump up and pose sort of thing, is I actually do like isometric contractions for time.
Interesting.
It's not. It's a theory of mine based on like Hani Rambad's like FST7, but it also feels good, and that's why many.
So answer this question. You know what gives me the biggest pump? And like my chest, my arms, and everything.
Oh, okay. What?
Push-ups.
Well, there you go. Yeah, you don't need much.
That's why I love bench press, because I was so strong on the bench that I would just do like 8 or 9 reps, 405, and then it's like I'd be so freaking jacked up, my chest would just like want to explode.
Yeah, but that's the way we would go about doing that. If you're interested in bodybuilding prep, there are coaches that you can go to.
It's terrible.
That will cover
Kill yourself. I hate it. Never doing it again. Never, ever.
It'll be okay. So there are coaches that you can go to. And that's where you would find better information on that.
Yeah. So. I did it one time, and I was like, ain't doing this again.
We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more questions. Are you okay with that?
How much time we got?
We've got some time, yeah. So, how do you tell how far away from your weight loss goal you are?
How do you tell
how much further you have to go, I guess, is what he's asking.
Okay, if you're asking how much further you have to go, don't ever look at this. Like, my buddy used to say, the classic line he used to have for me, it's not water weight, you're just fat.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, screw you. I would say, I guess what he's trying to ask is, like, how long is it going to take for him to get abs or whatever, how to tell. I mean, honestly, I wouldn't even. Standard protocol is a diet for 12 to 16 weeks, and then change it up for homeostasis purposes, prevent that, and then you attack it again. So I wouldn't even I wouldn't concentrate on how far do I have to go. Instead, I would just concentrate on what you have to do daily, take it one step at a time, and then weekly. And as long as you're losing weight, you're on the right track. You know what I mean? And then if you have to repeat it, do it again. Now, if you're referring to, like, getting ready for a bodybuilding show,
that's a different animal, though.
Because it depends on how lean you are.
I don't think this guy was a bodybuilder. I'll say that the mirror is a great judge. If you want to go for some sort of number, and I think this is pretty safe for pretty much everybody unless you weigh 400 pounds, okay? You can lose about 0.25 all the way up to a total a whole percent of your body weight per week, and do that and lose a maximum of 10%, right, per time that you kind of, go on a diet and then you come back up to some sort of homeostasis or create a new settling point. I call it going to maintenance, right? And then if you have further to go, just go back down and dip back down and then lose another 10%. See if that's... Because if you split it up into little chunks like that, well, fuck, I can do this for 10 weeks. I can do this for 8 weeks. See where I'm at. Because body fat is so deceptive, right? I mean, you could be the leanest motherfucker in the world, but you, Mr. Body Dysmorphia, everybody who's fucking listening to this thing, you are going to see that lower back fat, and you are going to go, oh my God, I'm obese. You're not obese.
That's how I am. That's exactly how I am.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I've kind of grown out of it a little bit as I've gotten older.
Well, you're married too.
Well, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. But then I take my shirt off and I'm like, well, I got abs, so I guess I shouldn't worry. I'm 40. I got veins in my lower abs, so and especially if it's hot, they really pop out. So I'm like, I guess I really shouldn't worry then. Like, oh well, But I still think I'm fat though.
I think that's something we'll always deal with.
I know, it's terrible.
So
I just try not to think about it and just be like, hey, I'm happy with who I am.
Have you ever cut too far?
Dude, I'm sure, because I was down between 4 and 5.
Yeah.
So definitely I cut too far. What are you talking about?
You mean give in to your body dysmorphia? I mean what? Okay. This one should be kind of easy because I think that it all involves one thing, right? What gets athletes hurt the most? I'll let you cover it if you can. Do you have any guesses as to what my answer would be? Uh-oh, did we lose you?
Overtraining and imbalances. Overtraining and imbalances. Overtraining. Dude,
okay.
Can you hear me?
I think you were driving through a little bit of a rough spot, but it's fine now. Yeah.
Overtraining and imbalances. There you go.
Okay.
That's exactly. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah. So overtraining and imbalances. Yes, I can hear you. We'll be right back.
Okay. All right. So can you hear me now?
Okay, we're back. Yeah, go ahead. The answer.
Can you hear me, boss, or you call me back?
I can
hear you.
I can hear you.
I'm driving through I'm on the interstate. All right. The answer is overtraining and imbalances.
Okay.
And the reason is because if you have imbalances, then certain muscle groups are going to get overtrained because they're compensating, because the body is great at, basically shifting loads around. So then over time what happens, especially if you're an athlete, is that, and as you get older and recovery starts to decrease, is that the next thing you know, those imbalances cause the muscle to be overtrained, and then it becomes weakened, and then when you try to do that explosive movement, you tear a hammy, you mess up your Achilles, you explode, and it's terrible. I've had some major ones happen to me because of imbalances. Getting older and playing flag football, and stuff like that. It's terrible. Yeah.
I have to agree with you there. All right, so that leads us into our next one. So, what is one staple movement you keep in your routine?
Squats, bench press, and deadlift.
All right, this one I think we can. I have to say the same with me. But how do you go about switching exercises? They also say that they get anxiety about this. Honestly, man, it just switch. Just know that it's for the better. And are you talking? I don't know if he was talking about variations or.
Yeah. So here's something I used to do a lot all the time when I was younger, and after when I mean younger, I mean 10 years under my belt. So it's not like I'm old, guys. So, anyways, one thing that I used to always, and I think it happens to a lot of people around that 6 to 10 years, maybe even earlier, is like you're
Yeah.
like, man, like, you know, I need to switch it up for growth. Oh, dude, I got to switch it up all the time. Like, how do I switch it up? What do I do? What do I do? And, oh my gosh! And then now I've come to realize, as being older, it really doesn't matter that much
Yeah.
at all. But so the way I do it now is I do it completely by like intuitive feel. So I pick out the exercises that I like to do because I don't have a lot of time, you know, and the ones that are the movements, and then it's like, well, man, you know, I'm gonna do 2 or 3 extra reps today, and I'm gonna do, the reps a little bit slower. And I think honestly that 'cause there's only so many exercises, in my personal experience, I think you get more benefit from changing up rep speed and cadence and number of reps than you do with changing up exercises. And for me, I always have worked the best with minimal rest between sets. That's just
Yeah.
the way I am. Like I can do supersets all day long, and I prefer to do that. Like I just don't stop. I don't sit there. I can't sit in the gym. I'm like,
You're not
okay, I
one of
did a
those
set.
5 minutes between sets. You're not one of those guys.
Dude, I'm like one of those like, okay, I just did this bench press. My muscles are like fatigued as crap. I'm gonna go over here and do these dumbbell rows that are, clear.
Oh
Get
yeah,
that
get
little
destroyed.
synergistic thing. And then I'm like, oh, okay, my chest is recovered now. So I'm gonna go do, I'm gonna go kill that set of, bench press or dumbbells or whatever. And then I finish with that, and I'm like, oh, well, I got a little bit of a, breath going on. Now that's pretty good. And then I'll go and I'll like crush some more back or something.
Yeah.
And honestly, as I'm getting older, I find myself following and adhering more towards Charles Poliquin principles. And I don't know if it's because I'm old or because if I'm just realizing that they actually work. I haven't really,
I don't know.
or if they
I
just work
mean,
because I'm old.
it's probably that, but it. No, I just if you need to change it up, you'll know.
You will know.
I would say that if something's hurting,
Change it up.
don't brute muscle past it.
Yeah.
That seems to be a lot of what gets people, injured. Like we said, overtraining imbalances.
Okay.
Not only that, but common wear and tear. I mean, how many guys do you see go in there and every Monday they have to hit 10 sets of this, and then all of a sudden you see them, not doing that anymore, and you're like, well, why did you stop doing that? Oh, it's because my shoulder was hurting. It's like,
Yep.
It didn't just start hurting today. Like, what happened? It's like, over time. It's like,
Yep.
well, okay, there's your answer. Like, don't let it get to that point.
Yeah.
Not only that, but do not fear variation.
No, don't fear.
Also, at the same time, don't try and add in every single variation at the same time.
Don't reinvent the wheel.
Yeah, so, stick to a couple primary movements, like a squat variation,
Ooh.
a bench variation, a deadlift variation. And
You
then
know
if those get stale, try to switch them out. I mean, it's there's no need to get anxiety about it, although I do understand that more than I'm willing to admit.
Hey, Bryce.
Yeah.
I kind of have a pretty simple principle here, and I think this can contribute a lot to the variation because
What's
I have a hypothesis, and I think this is it. I think you can make all the gains you need without doing a variation. You don't even have to do much variation at all. Like, you don't even need to plan it. I think that
You mean
as
progressive
long as
overload?
well, exactly. But here's the problem. And I think the reason why people get to the failure of progressive overload is because they get to a point where their imbalances and their weaknesses aren't strong enough, and that's why they can't do the lift anymore. And so you're not going to get those jumps. So I guess long story short is train your wrist and train your ankles and feet and hands, and that should fix most of your strength issues, and then you should be able to do progressive overload then it doesn't really become, it doesn't matter what you switch up the exercises or not. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah,
makes sense.
right?
We'll go into another question now, and then we have another one that's really quick at the end. So this is our last two. How is your split? How do you work different body parts efficiently? I'll just say this about that. Guy Rozzi and I did an episode on what are the most effective ways to train certain muscle groups from a physio perspective. It's called the Anatomy of Lifting series. It's right here on this YouTube channel. Which, by the way, if you're listening on another platform, it is our YouTube channel, Chaos and Pain TV, over on YouTube. You can find the podcast there. We cover it probably way too in depth to make sense, but it's a pretty good listen. That's where I would tell you to start. My personal split is an upper lower, because it seems upper lower, and then I've added shoulders their entire day, because I don't feel that I can hit shoulders with enough intensity by doing them after, like I do the bench press or incline or whatever. So they get their own day. But other than that, it's upper, lower. I'm sorry, it's lower, upper, shoulders, lower, upper, and then I'm done. How's your workout split look?
Lower, upper, rest day, lower, upper.
Oh, okay. I got you. So I guess if you're looking for secrets.
And what I'll do is I'll throw in bis and tris and some shoulder stuff on the upper days, just to me kind of like how I feel. And,
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and then as far as you were saying, I think that's a great idea. Like, if you're gonna do 5 days a week and you're gonna have that one day you could use that day to bring up lagging body parts, but it has to be really only arms or shoulders or calves.
Yeah, but I do shoulders and abs, because abs are boring.
That's fine. Well, that's perfectly fine. That's my point, is that you want to do a smaller muscle group that doesn't take away too much from your recovery if you're going to do what you're doing. Yeah, physiologically it just makes sense. I'm sorry.
Okay, and I think we've answered that one. And this is the last question, and this should probably should piss people off, but my answer is not going to be what you expect. Stay tuned. Clickbait title. So, when can we see lifting gear from Chaos and Pain, aka straps, wraps, and all that stuff? I have the answer, guys, and this is not me just killing time trying to make this question longer than it is necessary to be. But the timeline that you should see some straps, wraps, and all that other stuff from Chaos and Pain is soon. Trademark pending. Yeah, that's the best I can give you. Like, it's something that we've been thinking about, and we saw that it was asked about in our Facebook group, and I wanted to kind of cover it here. So, most likely soon. But that's all we've. That's all we've got. In the meantime, we're more concerned about releasing Hypnos, Agro, some other products as well that have yet to be announced. So, with that being said, guys, if you like this video, go ahead and leave it a like on YouTube and all the other platforms. If you dislike this video, then, well, hello darkness, my old friend. And, yeah, we will see you in the next one.
Conan, what is best in life? Crush your enemies, see them driven before you, and to hear the lamentation of your women. That is good. That is good.
Too many thoughts on my mind, I can't sleep at night, so I just keep writing. I don't need no help, I don't need opinions, so don't waste my time then. I just been living online, my city don't show me no love and that's fine. Fuck local radio stations, I got more plays than all of these rappers combined. I'm going again, I've been going in, I'm fed up with so many things. I gotta just let it all out, I'm talking about the shit they've been talking about. Telling me I should do this, telling me I should do that. Telling me things about rap. Talking the truth and that stab in my back, they will knock me off track. No, too many things have been building, been hard to deal with, I just been drinking. Remember my moves in the past, I'm wondering what was I thinking. Lately I'm living in fear, wondering what if the end is so near. All of this shit going on, the shootings are strong. One shot to the head and I'm gone. I'm losing control but I can't let it go, cause I'm trying to get more. And I've been in the moment, I've been in the zone, and I'm moving alone. I don't pick up the phone when my family call, I've been doing it wrong and I don't know what's happening. Trying to get what I just been imagining, getting close and I just been examining all of the fake shit the game has been packaging.
Power pleases you, Crown. So grant me one request. Grant me revenge. And if you do not listen, then the hell with you.
I come from a town where most of the people are so close-minded. They go into school and they work in a job but they don't even like it. I won't be put in a box, nobody telling me what I should rock. Nobody telling me what I should drop, cause I do what I want and just know I don't stop. Recording till 4 in the morning, they snoring. I'm pouring my soul into every story. I'm writing, producing, I mix it, I master. I'm building my craft and I'm not looking back. I've been going doing things I wanna do when I want to. Everybody wanna get a win but they not do. Everybody wanna copy you but they not you. Everybody wanna be cool but they not new. Whoa, look how I go, gonna be a dentist, I still got the flow. Never gonna lose cause I'm still doing both. Never gonna lose cause I've been on the road. Come to your state and I'm killing the show. Know that I'm young and I still gotta grow. Know that I'm working the most, know I'm never gonna choke. And I'm looking back down on the people below.
I've been keeping real, I've been doing what I feel. I've been out here trying to kill.